Welcome to the USS Renegade. This is my Dreadnought, capable of projecting massive firepower to show the enemy who they are dealing with. Since the war all those years ago, we are kinda forced to, don't you think? Anyway, there's enough work for us to do. Let's see what type of trouble is up for us in store, eh? All seriousness and dark voices aside, hi, I'm Tom, and this is Dreadnought. The game reminds me that it doesn't need to be all Call of Duty all the time, and it's good to slow down every once in a while. Also, Dreadnought kinda forces you to. Now, the game is still in beta however, so what I say now may not be the same when the full game launches. And needless to say, I will revisit the game when it launches because man, it's just a blast to play. And not to mention, it is free to play, so no $60 up front. Okay, let's start with the concept of the game. And if you're familiar with both World of Tanks and World of Warships, this isn't too far off I think. Except instead of tanks or boats, you have
Space battles, bitch!
And allow me to remind you what I think of those, because FYI, I love space. Now, the game is just basically team deathmatch with giant spaceships, but it goes more in depth than that. Because there are multiple ship classes with different roles. You have the corvettes, which are small ships that fly at you, drop a nuke and then warp out to safety to make themselves harder to hit. You have the tactical cruisers, and those are just healers. Their guns do little damage, which means they need to be protected by the larger ships in order to survive. Then there's the artillery cruisers, which are no joke, guns with ships built around them. Or as I like to call them, the guy from the back of the map that snipes you because he has no balls. Then we have arrived at my favorite, the destroyers, which are a mix of heavy hitting, cannon carrying, nuke firing, space-time bending awesomeness and then some, who are also moderate at health to make them durable. And last but definitely not least, the Dreadnoughts, who are like the destroyers but with even more firepower and health, but with less speed. So much more health and firepower. And you can take my word for it when I say that there are so many ships within those categories that there is something for everyone to play with. Now, during each battle the ship of course has its own role, but you have an energy meter to decide what you're going to do from moment to moment. You can transfer energy to weapons and start hitting people like Mike Tyson in The Hangover.
Fired up and ready to serve.
Or you can put the energy into shields to survive just a little bit longer before getting shot from a cruiser across the map. You can also put it into your engines, but that's mainly necessary when you spawn far away from enemies and you just need to close the gap. Each ship has its own weapons, but they're all more or less the same because they need to fill the same role as the other ships in the same class. But everything that a ship has is upgradable, for more damage to more range, to completely different missiles, or from short range defensive weapons to a damage buff for your main weapons. The only difference is that there are not only classes the ships fall in, but also tiers. Tier 1 ships have less upgrades and are overall worse than tier 2, 3 and 4, while tier 4 has more upgrades than they will probably ever need. And for as far as I know, the tier 1 and tier 2 ships can fight against each other, so that puts you at a major advantage. Now this is a little build on what I just said. The tiers can battle against each other, and if you're in a tier 1 ship while someone else is in a tier 2 ship, it already means you're at a disadvantage. And I don't know yet if tier 3 and 4 can also fight against tier 1 ships, but if that is the case, then it's going to suck for the lower tier players. What I thought was also on the lower end of things was my frame rate. I was in the mid to high 40s constantly. No frame drops luckily, so it wasn't annoying. And considering the fact that the game does look really good on epic settings, I'll give it a pass. But this is something I would like to see improved when the game is fully released. As for the gameplay itself, what I think could improve is the tutorials. The game gives you a tutorial that is very short, because it only explains how Dreadnoughts work, and not the other type of ships, which are honestly harder to use. Which had as consequence that I mistakenly thought that a module that decreases the cooldown of my missiles used as a repair tool. Needless to say, I died more because of it. Or the fact that they don't say if a missile is heat seeking or not. It would be nice to know these things before heading stern first in the battle, and then die when blind firing missiles that I thought were going to hit for sure. With low frame rate and lack of tutorials aside, the game is fun to play. It forces you to slow down and think about your next move, because when you're going to do things outside of your ship's capability, you will surely get killed. Although you can warp in and drop a nuke and take every last enemy with you to the grave, it probably isn't the smartest of plans. The game will be free to play, and as far as I know, the only thing that you can buy is one ship, XP boosts and skins. So the pay to win is on the low side of things. And the question if the game is worth the money or not is kind of unnecessary, but I will say that if the game did cost $30, it will be well worth the money.